Battlesuit Aces.
Battlesuit Aces is a story-driven deck builder that released October 7th of 2025 by Trinket Studios. You might know these folks from their previous title, the action puzzle cooking adventure Battle Chef Brigade. Battlesuit Aces itself is an experience that lasts just under 20 hours for a first-time playthrough, though its divergent story paths offer up several replayability options. There's 45 episodes of space opera, a whopping 75 different characters, all fully voiced, 40 pieces of soundtrack, and plenty of different mech or drone card options to take into the handcrafted scenarios. Hi, I'm Empty. More recently, I discovered a great interest in big robots, and now here I am on a personal goal to play every single mech game ever. I offer up my thoughts here in video format, but you can also check out my reviews in full text form via the website Backlogged. If you'd like to keep up with my videos, clicking the sub button to stay tuned would be great. Thanks. The plot is told in episodic sequences. Typically these begin with Captain Heathcliff narrating a Star Trek-type Stardate log. Each episode takes place in a different location and can include different characters. Some are related to the main plot, while others serve only to provide character development. Heathcliff is the captain of the Zephyr, a ship running a special mission with a crew called Patchworks. As in, the name is a ragtag and highly diverse base group, and depending on your choices throughout incorporates many different characters of different factions. We'll talk about them in a moment, but first the overarching plot. Initially, the story starts with Heathcliff and his best friend Felix, who are spending their retirement from the armed space forces working as suit mechanics in Anchor Station. Heathcliff is about to achieve his lifelong dream of being a single parent as they head off to an adoption agency. Before making it there, though, a swarm of alien creatures called the Frenzied attacks and destroys Anchor Station. In the midst of this battle, the spaceship Heathcliff and Felix are flying on is shot down, but by happenstance, its crash landing reveals an ancient burial ground for a relic battle suit. Felix quickly hops in the cockpit and saves the day. The friends ditch their retired life to rejoin the space military in an effort to defeat these Frenzied with its newly discovered relic suit. It turns out the special suit was made by a completely different extinct alien race called the Folians. And lucky for us, Commander Vermeulen's brother, Jules, is the leading expert on Folians, and he's quickly dispatched to our team. He's a high-strung, coffee-addicted research scientist. Besides this, our team also has a few pilots, a rough-around-the-edges ex-pirate Daciana, a shy plant-loving Jan, a level-headed Jaeger. There's also an aging gentle giant chef character named Belmont, and a by-the-books first officer whose name is Hanako. I think that's all the core crew, but I could be forgetting someone. This game has a lot of characters. There are 5 other factions you can choose to level up and recruit from. You've got the fantasy blacksmith-themed suitsmiths, the vaguely Norse barbarian hunters, a group of sports ball players called the Comets, and Robin Hood-style anti-hero pirates called the Typhoons. Finally, there's a group of alien cryptid hunters called the Enigmas. In my playthrough, I maxed out the Suitsmiths and the Typhoons. I thought it was a fun detail that every member of the Typhoons was marked with a facial tattoo, indicative of a pirate's eye patch, and I love pirates. This is a story-heavy game. Very story-heavy. In fact, the vast majority of the game, I'd say, takes place in the fully voiced cutscenes, rather than the deck-building card game portion. At different points during this game, I kept wondering if maybe a fully realized cartoon or comic book would have been a better format, as sometimes the stories seem to really drag on, but that's probably all to taste. And speaking of taste, the writing in this one is very safe. Very Saturday morning cartoon type, low stakes, villain of the week safe. On one hand, the story threads aren't super deep in the first place, The dialogue is relatively straight to the point, which doesn't feel overly padded, and this lighthearted approach fits very well with the art style. On the other hand is that after a certain point, personally, I had a really hard time feeling continued investment after realizing the feel-good nature of the vibe left little room for impactful drama. Any potential problem, no matter how big, is quickly solved basically one sentence away with a heart-to-heart chat with hand-holding and hugs. But I guess this wholesome, cozy thing is what people complain is millennial writing. Another thing that gets complaints in that regard that I don't really want to talk about, but probably should, is complaints about diversity. Specifically, Battlesuit Aces is very LGBT. It's a very gay game, with mandatory viewing of a gay romance, non-binary characters, etc., with an overall focus on found family-type narrative. You could probably conjecture this simply looking at Heathcliff and seeing instead of wearing a respectable captain's outfit, he's opted for a very casual low-cut V-neck, which shows off his hairy man chest. Personally, I'm not really interested in romance in games whatsoever, and while I wouldn't consider myself bigoted by any means, I'm also not part of the LGBT, so I'm not sure I can really offer up any detailed insight in that regard. What I can say is that I've noticed a lot of the time there's a criticism against this sort of thing. It's usually said that it feels forced. While I guess you do have to view at least one of these romances as part of the main plot, I don't think that this sort of thing exists in this game in a way that makes diversity feel forced or shoehorned in. What I mean is that the world building and general vibe presented makes all of this feel very in-universe and normalized and natural for the full package that is Battlesuit Aces. So if that sort of thing is a deal breaker for you, you probably don't want to play this game. The main gameplay consists of moving from planet to planet, sitting through these story sequences and having a card battle. These card battles take place on a playing field that allows 5 lanes for combat cards, behind them 5 slots for lane modifiers, and further behind that the overall health per team. Each turn you'll draw a possible pilot or drone card to put in your playing field. This is a bit lopsided as you can only play 1 new card per turn, while the enemy seems to be able to play as many as they want. Each card has an associated cost, being red, blue, or green colored gems, as well as an associated generation of this cost at the beginning of each turn. As well as this, they each have their own health pool, damage rating, and unique traits. Take Jan, for example, whose attack hits enemy cards, but also blasts past them to damage the back line. Or Jaeger, who not only has energy cost reduced per enemy knockout, but provides an attack that hits 3 lanes at once. Now to win this general gameplay scenario, you'll need to either run the enemy out of their entire deck of cards, or alternatively destroy their overall behind-the-lines health pool. Of course, there are some variations to this from time to time. Sometimes there will be boss battles that don't have a back-end health pool, or there will be unique instances like the time you play a ball game match. In that one, instead of directly attacking the enemy cards, every attack hits a ball in the center of the field that bounces around. While these battle matches happen, there are special circumstances that can lead to unlocking character-based ambitions. These are extra command cards associated with that character and their unique attacks. Besides these story-driven missions, there are also bounty missions. These are missions based around bulking up crafting material and faction reputations that lack greater storytelling. The ship also has sim challenges, which are similar in the way that there is no story, but these are handcrafted puzzles, where you must use a bit of brain power to figure out how to win in one single turn. I liked these quite a bit, as they felt like the most stimulating aspect of the game's combat for me. The ship, of course, has you witness various character interactions of your choosing, but also has a crafting workshop where you can create modifications for individual cards as well as the USS Zephyr as a whole. And of course there is a deck building section that should be kind of self-explanatory. Overall, the gameplay, much like the story, feels like it lacks stakes. I played the whole thing on the standard normal difficulty setting, and it matched the cozy, wholesome vibes by being incredibly easy all throughout. Maybe I just got lucky with my deck setup, but I only edited my deck building to remove and replace cards once in my entire run, and I entirely gave up using the crafting workshop and modifications probably about halfway through the game. If the game was so easy that I was actively not engaging with its mechanics, it could probably be tuned a bit, but I guess I could have also turned on the hard mode difficulty by myself. As far as minor gripes, I wish there was a way to view the character ambitions while in combat. For example, Jan's ambition is to kill an enemy card and also the ship HP pool behind it at the same time. I have to memorize that while in the interim menus and perform it in actual combat to unlock the ambition. It's not a big deal to remember one of these, but whenever you consider how many characters this game has, that can be a lot. Visually, this game is done very well. The art style makes it hard to tell when you're simply passing over screenshots of it, but when you get into the game and actually play it yourself, it feels quite gilded. The great use of this explosive color palette, everything seems to have like minor animations to it to some capacity. Sometimes the artwork used will be a bit freeform. By that I mean you'll see some unfinished pencil work or something a bit more sketchy or conceptual, but it really works cinematically, making the experience feel very human and intentionally created. In terms of visual, for me the biggest "oh wow, that's cool" factor was my first time entering a combat scenario and mousing over the cards, of course, which highlights them, but it also shows they have some sort of dimensional parallaxing effect going on, which really makes them pop. On the audio side, I think this one was handled really well too. The music has a big thematic approach and really reminded me a lot of modern Switch-era Pokemon game original soundtrack. Tons of instruments with clear musical theming, the big song, the mystery song, the action song, etc. The voice work, of course, also takes the cake for audio, as the cast for this one is so large. You could probably come up with any character archetype or accent and find that sort of character in-game somewhere. Some characters are very clearly influenced by pop culture. I did not experience any technical problems while playing this game, no bugs or glitches on my end, which is great. I did already have some minor complaints in their appropriate sections, which we'll recap the minor ones real quick. Story is maybe too wholesome and lacks impact, certain elements tend to drag on or alternatively feel underdeveloped, the general gameplay is exceptionally easy, the game lacks an endless roguelite mode from the get-go, there is no multiplayer whatsoever, which I think this game could probably use. Overall, this game feels pretty solid, but misses the mark just enough in many aspects for me to make me scratch my head and go, it's alright, it's okay, it's pretty good, I guess, instead of, wow, that was great! I think the easiest way to explain this feeling is to point out that this is a deck builder game that launched without the ability to edit your deck. This was of course added after release, so it's there now if you play it, but it seems like a pretty big oversight to not be included from the ground up. And maybe that sort of mentality went into crafting the entire experience overall, if you get what I'm trying to say. My biggest and most overwhelming complaint with the game, the nearly complete lack of mech representation. With the exception of the relic suits appearing in cutscenes here and there, it feels like they forgot they named this game Battlesuit Aces. Every character is supposed to pilot their own suit, but you don't even hear about them past vaguely being mentioned as, my suit! They aren't present in cinematics, despite nearly every character being a pilot or a mechanic, and in combat, the suits might as well just be part of the background of every card, as the pilot characters take the front seat, absolutely. Did you know Daciana's suit is U-Tank too? Or Mirabelle's is named Rosie? I didn't, because they're never brought up and never shown beyond the singular card image. At the very least, what I wanted to see was some sort of animations showing off the battlesuits in combat. Maybe a unique animation per finisher or ambition completion, or give me something. Have them fly around the background of the playing field. This sort of thing isn't even shown for the relic suits that take the center stage, and the overall lack of mecha representation in this game feels like a huge oversight. Final thoughts? Battlesuit Aces is pretty solid, but particular in its experience. It produces a decent and diverse story, with plenty of characters, replayability, and satisfactory gameplay that's held up by really beautiful artwork, voice, and music. While maybe not the deepest experience in any regard, there is a lot to love if you want a more relaxed, wholesome, and cozy spacefaring adventure based around episodic storytelling and card game combat. It feels just as much a game as an anime show.